us see the types of naive-Bayes model, because now when we are going to develop the program, we should know what are the different types of naive-Bayes models we have, so that for the given application, you can use any appropriate model. In naive-Bayes model, we have basically three important types. They are called as Gaussian, and then multinomial, then Bernoulli. And if you consider this Gaussian model, this model assumes that the features follow a normal distribution. We have different types of distribution. The Gaussian distribution is going to assume that the features in your given data set are going to follow the normal distribution. And in this, if your predictors are nothing but your feature variables, if they take continuous values instead of discrete, the model assumes that these values are sampled from a Gaussian distribution. So the second category is multinomial model. The multinomial Bayes classifier is used when the data is multinomial distributed. Actually, this is mainly used for document classification problems. Document classification problem is nothing but if I give you any newspaper article, one page, I can ask you what is the topic discussed in this particular page. Okay, so for example, if a particular page is belonging to the category like either sports or otherwise politics or some information about education, or you can classify the document to what type it is belonging to. Okay, so in this is coming under the category of natural language processing. Whenever you want to go for applications like natural language processing, in that case, you can use this multinomial model. And here, this classifier, multinomial classifier, is going to use the frequency of words for predicting. Like if you take the sports articles are going to use certain frequent words. So we will be counting the number of frequent words, and based upon that, we'll be classifying it belongs to which particular type. So this multinomial is only based upon the frequency of the words for the predictors. And the next model is called as Bernoulli model. And this Bernoulli classifier works similar to the multinomial classifier. But what is the difference between multinomial and then Bernoulli is, in case of Bernoulli, the predictor variables are the independent Boolean variables. This is very important. So what is Boolean variable? It will take either true or false. So if a particular word is present or not, you will check whether a word is present or not in the document instead of counting how many times it is occurring. In the previous case, in the multinomial, you have counted how many times each and every word is occurring. Whereas here, you are not going to count the occurrence. You will see whether it is occurring or not, whether it is true or false. And this model is also famous for document classification tasks. Similar to the multinomial, you will use this also for document classification. So now we are going to use a naive-Bayes classifier. So in this, you know that we can use this classifier only for classification problems, not for any regression problems. So your output variable is belonging to discrete set of classes. And in today's example also, we are going to take our famous IRIS data set. In the last class itself, in the logistic regression, I told what is IRIS data set. Okay, so now I have already loaded the IRIS data set. Since you know about the data set, I'm not explaining again in depth. Just focus on the input variables, that is the independent variables. If you see your IRIS data set, we have the features as sepal length, sepal width, petal width, and they are taking real values data. And your target class, we have three different target classes, 0, 1, and 2. Okay, since we have 0, 1, and 2, it is a discrete class, it is classification problem. And now, whenever you want to see which is the model you are going to use, out of the three models, you have to now decide. Our features are nothing but we have sepal length, sepal width, petal width. They are taking continuous values. Okay, so whenever the features take continuous values, you go for Gaussian model. Okay, so now we are going to model with the help of that. Now let us understand our program. So first I'm importing the necessary libraries, NumPy, Matplotlib, and then Pandas. After that, I'm reading the data set. Here the data set is iris.csv. Then I'm storing it in a data frame called data. Then I'm printing the first 5 rows of the data frame by means of the head function. As usual, I'm going to now extract the features and store it in the variable called capital X. And my target class will be stored in the variable called small y. And here, the features are nothing but we have 4 features: sepal length, sepal width, petal width. From the data frame data, I am extracting all those things and storing it in a new data frame called X. Okay, and then the target is stored in Y. Then whenever you go for continuous values, always go for standard scalar. Then why we need normalization? Standard scalar is going to do normalization. Why we need normalization? Always remember, when you go for continuous variables, see what is the minimum and maximum value for each and every variable. I didn't print the describe function. If you want to describe your data set, you can use a data.describe. That is going to tell you the minimum and then maximum value. Okay, so here, if you see the values, the petal width is 0.2, something like that. And this is a higher value when compared to this. Okay, so whenever you find that the values are not in the same range, you can normalize and you can bring everything to the standard scale. For that, so now I'm going to use normalization, which is nothing but Z-score normalization. For that, I'm going to import a standard scaler, which is available in sklearn.preprocessing. So after you import it, you create an object for the standard scaler, that is nothing but an object SC. I'm going to apply standard scaler. So in standard scaler, I'm going to call the fit_transform method. Here I have to say what I want to transform, that is which data I want to normalize. I want to normalize the columns which are in sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. Only these 4 columns I want to normalize because they have the continuous values. Already I have extracted those columns, I have stored it in X. So I'll be giving X as argument to this. And finally, it will normalize the data and the normalized values will be stored in the data frame called X. Then now you can divide your data set into splitting, that is training and then testing split. And now for this train test split, you import the package train test split, which is available in sklearn.model_selection. Once you do that, it will be dividing your data set, which is nothing but having X and Y in the ratio 80:20. Now you will get 4 different information from that: X_train, X_test, Y_train, Y_test. Store them in the proper variables. After that, now we are going to define our model. We are going to do now naive-Bayes classifier. In that, there are 3 different models we have, and we have now seen that since our attributes are continuous valued, we are going to choose a Gaussian model. So for that, we are going to import the necessary package. So in sklearn, we have a package called naive_Bayes. In that, you have to import Gaussian NB. NB stands for naive-Bayes. So we are going to import the Gaussian model. So first, create an object for this Gaussian model. I'm going to give this name as classifier. After that, I'm going to train my data set. So for that, I'm going to call the fit function. So classifier.fit. For this fit function, you have to pass 2 arguments. One is nothing but your features in the training data set, and the next is your target class in the training data set. So I'm going to give X_train and then Y_train as arguments to this. Once I do that, the training will be over. After that, I can predict. For predicting only, we have our testing data set. We have already divided. Okay, so I'm going to now call classifier.predict. In that, I'm going to give X_test. So it is going to find for every sample in the X_test, it is going to find the corresponding label that will be stored in Y_predict. So now it will have so many items in Y_predict. We are going to print that also. And finally, whatever classification you are doing, we have in the previous class, we have seen what are all the parameters we will choose to predict the performance of a classifier. I told that whenever you have any classification task, to predict the performance of the classifier, will be using accuracy, precision, recall, F1 score, and other things. Okay, I have already also told you about ROC curve. I'm going to print only the confusion matrix. In the confusion matrix, first I'm going to import the confusion matrix, which is available in sklearn.matrix. Then call the confusion matrix function. You have to pass 2 things. One is the actual labels, and the other is what is the labels you have predicted. The actual labels are available in Y_test. Always remember, in confusion matrix, we are going to find how your model is working with respect to the testing data only. So never pass the training data for this particular confusion matrix. Whether you can pass either the testing data or otherwise a new data which is never seen before during the training. Okay, so remember that is very important. Don't pass your training samples. So now I'm going to pass the testing samples only. My actual labels of the testing samples are available in Y_test, and my predicted testing labels are available in Y_pred. I'm going to give these 2 as arguments to the confusion matrix. And finally, I'm printing the confusion matrix. So now the confusion matrix is printed like this. So now, why 3 rows and 3 columns are printed? I already told you that the size of the confusion matrix, it depends upon how many different entries you have in your target class. So in the target class, this is iris flower detection, species detection. In that we have three different entries in the target class. It can be either 0 or otherwise 1 or otherwise 2. Everything is referring to a particular species. Only three different species of the flower are present. So we have three features, three species in the output. So it is a 3x3 matrix. Always it is a square matrix only. And here it is 3x3. If you consider the first one, first number 11, what it tells us, it is in row 0, column 0. Okay, 0 stands for the species 0, 1 stands for species 1, 2 stands for species 2. In the row, you will say that it is the actual value. In the column, it is predicted value. Okay, so your actual values are 0 and predicted values are 0. It is true for 11 different entries. And the remaining 2 are 0. That means that no false entries are present in that particular species. Okay, and coming to the next one, this 8 stands for your actual value is 1 and predicted value is also 1 for the species. In that we have 8. It is true positive. Okay, and this one is wrong. It is a falsely predicted data. So what is the actual value for this one is, to find the actual value, see the row number. Row number is 1. And what is the predicted value? See the column number. Column number is 2 for this. So the actual value is 1, whereas that particular species is predicted as 2. That's why it is false. It is false actually. So it is coming here, right? Then if you see the third one, in that we don't have any entries in the non-diagonal. Only in the diagonal we have the entry. That means it is performing perfectly. The actual values are 10 for the label 2 and predicted values are also 10. So this model, almost it is performing fine. Only for this data, it has predicted wrongly. So when you print the accuracy of this model, the accuracy is printed as 0.9666. So that is nothing but around 97% accuracy I am getting from this model. Okay. So to print the accuracy, you can call accuracy underscore score. Again, you have to pass y underscore test and then y underscore predict for this particular function.